Here's something nobody will say to your face. The better you are at your job, the more likely you are to be stuck in it forever. Not fired, not overlooked because you're bad. Stuck because you're good. Stuck because you became too useful exactly where you are. Stuck because being excellent at the wrong thing is just a slower, more comfortable version of going nowhere. And the worst part? You built the trap yourself. One deadline at a time. One solved problem at a time. You're the only person I trust with this at a time. If you've ever looked around and watched someone less capable than you get promoted and felt that specific, quiet frustration you can't quite explain, this video is going to make that frustration make complete sense. And then it's going to show you the way out. Jessica is 32. She works at a mid-size marketing agency in Chicago. She is, by every measurable standard, exceptional at her job. She owns the client performance dashboard, a 47-tab Excel model she built from scratch that her entire team depends on every Monday morning. When a client in the retail portfolio starts showing churn signals at 11 p.m. on a Thursday, Jessica is already in the data before anyone asks her to be. When the new CRM rolled out in Q3 and nobody could figure out how to migrate the legacy accounts, Jessica wrote the internal guide. When the agency landed a notoriously difficult financial services client that burned through 2 account managers in 6 months, leadership gave the account to Jessica. Because Jessica handles it, her performance reviews are spotless, exceeds expectations, 3 years running. Her manager genuinely appreciates her. Her teammates ask her questions before they ask Google. She is, in the language of every corporate hallway she's ever walked down, a rock star. Jessica has been waiting for a promotion for 2 years. It hasn't come. Meanwhile, she watches Brandon get promoted. Brandon is on her team. Brandon does solid work. He hasn't built anything close to the dashboard. He's never been handed the nightmare account. There are 2 open client tickets in his queue right now that Jessica quietly cleaned up last week without saying anything because the deadline was coming and she didn't want the team to miss it. Brandon is not better at the job than Jessica. Anyone paying attention knows this. But Brandon got promoted, and Jessica is still rebuilding the dashboard every Monday, managing the difficult financial services client, and training the new hire who started in September. Jessica thinks the system is broken. She's right, but not in the way she thinks. Here's what's actually happening in the rooms Jessica isn't in. When her manager thinks about promoting Jessica, he runs one calculation immediately, almost involuntarily. Who rebuilds the dashboard? Who handles the financial services account? Who trains the new people? Not. Does Jessica deserve it? Not. Is she ready? The first thought is, if I move her, what breaks on Monday morning? Promoting Jessica creates a problem for her manager. Keeping Jessica where she is solves his problem every single week. So he keeps her where she is, gives her the harder accounts, tells her she's doing a great job. He means it. She is doing a great job. At his problem, not hers. Brandon didn't spend his Friday afternoons rebuilding pivot tables and covering open tickets. Brandon spent his Friday afternoons in the break room talking to the director. Brandon asked his manager's manager what the senior role actually required. Brandon raised his hand in the quarterly strategy meeting, not always with the best answer, but visibly, consistently, in the rooms that mattered. Brandon made sure the people 2 levels up knew his name and associated it with forward momentum. Brandon wasn't better at the job. He was better at playing the game 1 level above it. His visibility created motion. Jessica's silent excellence created inertia. There's a second layer that makes it worse. The longer Jessica stays in the role, the more the organization labels her. Not in writing, not formally, but in the way people describe her in meetings she's not invited to. She becomes the one who owns the dashboard, the account manager for the difficult clients, the one who knows where everything is buried in the old CRM. That label feels like recognition. At first it is, but labels calcify. The one who owns the dashboard doesn't get considered for the strategy role. The account manager for the difficult clients doesn't get considered for the leadership position, because in the story the organization tells about her, she's already cast. The Excel person, the fixer, the institutional memory. And once you're cast, it's almost impossible to audition for a different part in the same theater. This is why people leave companies to grow. Not always because the company is bad, but because the company has already decided who you are. And sometimes, the only way to become someone new is to walk into a room where nobody knows your name yet. If this is already hitting something you've felt but couldn't name, hit subscribe. This is what the Wealthy Otter is here for. Now let's talk about what Jessica does next. Here's the thing Jessica never learned, and most high performers never learn, about how careers actually work above a certain level. The skills that make you excellent at your current job are execution skills, reliability, speed, process mastery, knowing the system cold, being the person who can rebuild the dashboard blindfolded at midnight. The skills required one level up are completely different. Strategy, ambiguity, delegation, managing people who are harder to manage than a spreadsheet, building something instead of running something. Think about it this way. A surgeon who's world-class at appendectomies doesn't automatically become chief of surgery. The skills are completely different. One is execution. One is leadership. One happens in the operating room. The other happens in budget meetings, hiring decisions, and conversations about where the entire department is going. Nobody sat you down and explained this distinction. You were just supposed to somehow figure it out while being excellent at the wrong thing. Jessica is that surgeon. 3 years of perfect appendectomies. Not one conversation about what chief of surgery actually requires. And here's the cruel part. Companies don't train you for the next level. They promote you and assume you'll figure it out. But they won't promote you until you've already demonstrated it. So you're stuck waiting to be given the chance to prove you can do the thing they won't let you do until you've proven you can do it. Meanwhile, Jessica is getting faster and sharper at a job she could do in her sleep. She is optimizing. And optimization feels like mastery. It isn't. It's repetition. A year from now, she'll be even better at the 47-tab dashboard. But she won't be one day closer to the job above it. There's one more thing happening that seals the trap shut. Silence gets misread as satisfaction. Jessica keeps her head down, does the work, doesn't complain. Leadership, seeing no signal of discontent, makes a reasonable assumption. She's happy where she is. No urgency, no risk of losing her, no reason to think about her differently. She thinks her work is speaking for itself. It is. It's saying, everything is fine here. Nothing needs to change. Drop a comment right now. Have you ever been the Jessica in this story? I want to know how long it took you to realize it. The comments on this one are going to be something. Brandon, meanwhile, said clearly and directly to his manager's manager, I want to be in the next senior conversation. Tell me what I need to show. That sentence created a clock. Now there was a risk of losing him. Now he was a priority. Jessica never said that sentence. Not once. None of this means stop being good at your job. Being excellent is the baseline. You need it to be taken seriously. But it is not the strategy. It is the entry fee. Here's what actually moves people forward. First, make your ambitions impossible to ignore. Jessica has never told her manager she wants to move up. She assumed it was obvious from the dashboard, from the financial services account, from 3 years of exceeds expectations. It is not obvious. It is never obvious. Silence reads as comfort. One direct conversation. I want to be considered for the next senior role that opens up, and I want to know specifically what I need to demonstrate to get there. Changes the entire dynamic. Now there's a clock. Now leadership has a decision to make. Invest in her growth or risk losing her. Organizations respond to clocks. They ignore silence. Second, build visibility above your direct manager. Promotion decisions don't happen in performance reviews. They happen in succession planning meetings, in skip-level conversations. In the break room on Friday afternoon when the director is getting coffee, Jessica's manager knows she built the dashboard. His manager has never heard of the dashboard. And the people actually making career decisions about Jessica are working from a story they've been told about her, or more likely, a story that doesn't exist yet because nobody's told it. Solving a visible problem in a cross-functional meeting. Sending a short summary of a key win to a senior stakeholder. Raising a strategic question in a quarterly review instead of sitting quietly in the back row. These aren't political games. They're the difference between being known and being invisible to the people who matter. Third, deliberately get worse at your current job. Not by slacking, by reallocating. The hour Jessica spends perfecting the dashboard to a level of detail nobody asked for, that hour could be spent learning how to run a client strategy session. The energy she puts into covering Brandon's open tickets silently. That energy is actively subsidizing her own stagnation. Start saying no, professionally, calmly, to some of the execution work that is consuming her. Start saying yes to things that are slightly above her current level, which means she'll look less polished in the short term and grow exponentially in the medium term. Staying excellent at something that doesn't grow you is a choice. Most people make it without realizing they're making it. They think they're building a career. They're building a very comfortable place to stand still. 2 years after watching Brandon get promoted, Jessica finally had that conversation. Direct, calm, clear. She told her manager she wanted the senior role, asked exactly what she needed to show, started protecting her time from the execution work that was consuming her, started showing up differently in rooms she used to sit quietly in, started talking about what she was working on instead of just working on it. 8 months later, she got promoted, not because she got better at the dashboard she'd already mastered, because she stopped optimizing for the wrong finish line. Here's the line that matters most in all of this. Competence is not a strategy. It's a baseline. The strategy is what you build on top of it. Visibility. Narrative. The willingness to become temporarily less polished at something familiar so you can become genuinely stronger at something that moves you forward. The trap isn't that you're bad at your job. The trap is that you're too good at a job that doesn't lead anywhere. And every year you spend perfecting the 47-tab dashboard is a year you spend building a more impressive version of standing still. The comfort of being the person everyone depends on is real. It feels like security. It feels like value. But security and progress are not the same thing. And most people choose one while genuinely believing they're building both. You already know which one actually builds a career, because the Otter knows the ceiling isn't your competence,